Hello my friend, in this video I'm going to do a breakdown of the latest music marketing campaign that I ran for a single that I dropped about a month ago. So it has about a month worth of data, and for this one I spent about $200 Canadian. It got me about 10,000 streams on Spotify and landed me on one Spotify editorial playlist. So let's take a look at this right now, and hopefully you'll learn a lot from this video. So in this video we are going to do a little breakdown of my song Orleans. I released it on August 8th. When I took this screenshot, it was at 10,107 streams. We're going to look at a kind of an overview of the entire campaign. The stream tracker that I fill out, it's just a little spreadsheet where I put in the stats for the song so I can see how it's changing over time. We'll dive into that, as well as do a deep dive into the Spotify for Artists backend. You'll be able to see everything that's going on back there, as well as the Facebook ads that I ran. As you can see, I spent about $200. We'll take a good look at this, the campaigns, the ad sets, the audiences, the ads, and the smart link pages that I was running, as well as some of the social media that I ran. And that's basically what we're going to run through today. So let's dive right into this. So for this song, I released it on August 8th, and overall I spent $206.60, and that is in Canadian. So I definitely want to make that apparent, because the Canadian dollar is not the strongest. In the first 28 days in particular, which is usually how far I track each release a little bit more intensely, I would say. So in the first 28 days, it hit 9,000 streams, 9,048 streams. And within the first 28 days, this campaign gained me 176 new Spotify followers. Within that same time frame, it was the song was added to 186 playlists. So that's mostly user playlists, which is what I prefer, but it does also include one Spotify editorial playlist, and we'll take a look at which editorial playlist that was as well. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at the stream tracker that I have filled out for this release and see what secrets we can find in this music marketing campaign. So opening this up right here, it's just loading, and this is the one. So we started on August 9th, and I ran ads for the first 12 days. I released it on a Monday, and usually the reason I do this is so that I can kind of run ads to it and build up data, and then try to build up enough data so that on the Friday, which is usually when the release radar drops, it's always when the release radar drops, there's a bit more data in the algorithm and it may push it out a little bit further. So what I did was I spent about $30 Canadian for the first 4 days. Then over that first weekend, I brought it down slowly. So it was $20, $14, $12, and then I ran it to about $10 per day for the next week. And then on the Fridays, it ran for a little bit and I turned it off, so it only spent about $3. So all in all, $206.60. Looking at the streams that went through for this one, started off pretty strong. I'm pretty happy about getting 75 streams just all on my own. Looking at this day, there were 75 streams, and 55% of them came from the profile, and that to me tells me that the ads were definitely pretty effective for this release. Reason being, when I run ads, the ad goes to a smart link, website smart link, which I'll also show you, and the Spotify button goes directly to the profile. Reason being is that I can track specifically here using the Spotify for Artists dashboard metrics to see how many streams are going to the profile, which shows me basically how effective the Facebook ads were, and the follow button is right there on the Spotify profile, which I think is highly effective. Moving along, started off with a pretty good cost per result, 31 cents. That was kind of roughly where it was for the whole campaign. So 31 cents to get someone to click the ad and then click that button in particular is what triggers that view content, that cost per result. There were 63 listeners, and started off at about 1.19 listen rate, and playlist ads were both just 3. And moving along, the campaign started to do pretty good, I would say, because then it jumped up to about 106 streams, 109, 147. And then you can see right here on the Friday, I always kind of add a little color for the Friday because that's a big day usually for Spotify algorithm playlist pushes. On this day, it jumped up to 600, then 700, 507. So this is clearly when the Spotify editorial playlist kicked in. This was not just the release radar push on that Friday, because I do believe it was a new music Friday crate digger playlist, but we'll dive into that in a little bit. So you can see definitely on this day is when things jumped up considerably. I missed adding in the data the day before, but it was around say 200 listeners and 60 saves. And it jumped up to 762 listeners and 104 saves. And one thing that you can see too is that generally these editorial playlists, big playlists like this, will generally kind of drop your numbers down, because you can see that when I tracked it before the ad, I was at 31% save rate. So 31% of people that listened were actually saving it directly to their libraries. And the listen rate was 1.59. So people were listening to about 1.59 times on average. Once the editorial playlist kicked in, you can see that the save rate dropped to 13.6 and the listen rate dropped to 1.37. So it's a good and a bad thing in certain ways. Generally, it's obviously really nice to get the editorial playlist, but if you're tracking these metrics, it does represent a bit of a drop. So from there, it looks like I was in that editorial playlist for about a week, because it went up to 600 when it first dropped, and then it was hovering around 500, 700 or so. Then on the 12th, it went up to 857 and then kind of started dropping down slowly. And when I last tracked it, it was about 161 streams per day and slowly moving down. So that is a look at the stream tracker. Looked pretty healthy. Generally looks like the followers were gaining at about 18 or so, 15 to 20, I guess you would say, per day, while I was spending a bit higher. And then it dropped down quite considerably to about 10 per day when it was pushing through for the editorial playlist. And then after that, once I stopped running ads and once I was out of the editorial playlist, it was anywhere between 0 and 5 new followers gained per day. And a quick look at the Spotify popularity index as well, which you can see in the Z column here. When I first ran the campaign just with the ads, it was the popularity index was hovering around 6%. The editorial was still at 6% when it landed the editorial. That clearly made it jump to 21, up as high as 26. And then I believe it's dropped down since then. I think now it's hovering around 23%. So that's what this looks like. We'll jump back to the cool little spreadsheet thing here and move on to the next page. So now what we'll do is we'll take a deep dive into the Spotify for Artists backend, and this will show even more information of how this song performed. So I'm just going to open this up right here, and here we have it. So the all-time streams has gone up now. It's 10,237. Let's go ahead and change the we'll change the time frame to the last 12 months so we can see everything. You can see here, this was that first little period when I was running the ads alone. That was the only effort bringing streams to the song. Then this clearly was the editorial playlist, and then it dropped down once it was out of the playlist, and then it came back up when it was added to the release rate or algorithmic playlist, and now it's kind of steady at around 50 to 70 streams per day with nothing at all, no promotion on that. It's just chilling, making more streams. So when we look at the overall source of streams for this song, algorithmic playlist is actually the biggest. It's actually bigger than the editorial playlist percentage. So 50% of this song's streams have come from the algorithmic playlist. So that's at least 5,000 streams. Other notable numbers is listeners' own playlist. That's 17% as the second one. I really like to see that. And then the second one is the other listeners' playlist, which is at 15%. I just like this because this is actual real people streaming the music, real actual fans. And I think this is what's going to carry a song further and further into gaining more and more streams for years and years and years to come, actually being on user playlists, because editorial playlists, as you can see, this one is 13% of the overall streams for this song. That's only going to go down because I doubt it's going to get added to any future editorial playlists. It's had its time in the sun, and that's about it. Taking a look at the country comparisons, we'll go ahead and change it to 2021 so we can see everything. Looks like the editorial playlist had the biggest push in United States, as you can see here by this kind of magenta color. And then the other top places were Mexico and the United Kingdom, which were pretty stable and pretty relative. Looks like, yeah, pretty relative. Moving down, overall top countries for this song, I think this is just the last 28 days, but in the United States there's 1,200. Coming in second place is Russia, which is interesting, and then Mexico, Germany, and Australia take up the top 5 places where this music has been streamed. Cities, not too interested in that, so we'll move along over to the playlists. So far, this song has been added to 163 in the last 28 days, so we'll just switch this to since 2015. So the song's been added to 193 playlists as of today. And this, I think, is super interesting. So these are the top playlists that this song was added to from me running the ads. The biggest one here, as you can see, is Release Radar, the algorithm playlist, so 3,290. And this is why I usually, in my own campaigns, and what I usually teach other people to do as well, is always push for the Release Radar playlist. The more followers that you have on your profile, and the more that you're able to run ads or some kind of traffic to your Spotify profile on a new release to tickle the algorithm a little bit so that it'll start pushing to the release radar of people that aren't actually following you. There's like very nice lucrative streams that you can get from this particular type of algorithmic playlist. And because it only lasts every 28 days, that's why I recommend releasing a new song every 28 days so you can kind of maximize your placement on this. So looking at the second one, it was this Friday Crate Diggers. It's a new music Friday Crate Diggers thing. It's New Music Friday, but for more underground dance electronic music that I make. And you can see it made 2,900 streams from this playlist, and it's just a little bit less than the algorithmic, as you could see. So editorials are obviously super awesome to do. This one in particular, I feel very proud of when I get on it. It's kind of a really cool playlist to get added to, but if you're looking at it just from a stream perspective, the algorithmic playlist actually can be a little bit more lucrative in terms of just streams, at least. Obviously, getting added to an editorial playlist is badass. There's a little bit more credibility to it, of course, and it is a nice jump in streams, but it's not the end-all be-all of success on Spotify. Coming in third and fourth are playlists that I actually own and run myself. I run a little bit of ad money to this as well. This lo-fi running one, it got me a pretty solid amount of streams for this release, 641 streams. And another one that I run, Lo-Fi Nights in the Sad House, 358 streams. So this is super effective. Ooh, this is another really cool one too here. So this one here, Deep House for Work, the fifth playlist. This is a buddy of mine, Dave, and also a student of mine taking one of the courses that I've created. He's running ads to this playlist as well, and I actually got a considerable amount of streams to this one. He tossed this song in there as well, so shout out to Dave. Thank you very much for that, and good job on running this playlist. I can see just from the streams that my songs gained alone, I can tell that you're doing pretty well with it, so that's good to know. And then after that, the song was also added into the Spotify algorithmic radio, Discover Weekly, and Daily Mix. Nothing too crazy to see here. Discover Weekly could pump up a little bit more in the future, as well as radio. We'll see how that evolves over time. And then other than that, it's mostly just user playlists. There's a little bit here, which is really nice. The cool thing about this is these are real people or somebody running some kind of neat playlist that I didn't actually reach out to for. It just came from running ads and getting on other playlists and building up over time like that. So super cool. That is a breakdown of the Spotify for Artists dashboard. So now let's head back over to the little presentation thing, and we'll move over to the Facebook ads, give you a deep dive into that. So I'm just going to click into that, and while that's loading, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And perfect timing. So right here, I've already created the filter to just show the Orleans campaign that I ran. Again, you can see $206.60. Overall, throughout this campaign, it was about 32 cents per view content, which is that Spotify button, which I'm quite happy with. It's a little high. I mean, it's in the medium. I'm happy with this. This is a good result for me. Overall, there were 638 clicks to that Spotify button. And we'll dive into the campaign a little bit further. So I split the ad set into two campaigns. The overall thing, I believe, was campaign budget optimization. As you can see here, campaign budget optimization was on, and when I ended it, it was at $10. So what that means is that the budget that I set at the campaign level is going to split between the two here. So I had a campaign which I called green light and yellow light. Green light was we'll just actually open it up. Green light, I set a minimum spend to make sure that it would always spend about like 25 to 50% of the ad budget to kind of counteract the campaign budget optimization, just favoring maybe the other ad set. So at least 25 to 50% of my ad budget is going to these green countries. I'm just going to scroll down to show you them. They're Netherlands, Australia, Canada, Germany, United Kingdom, Netherlands again, Sweden, United States, and this is all just based off of custom audiences and lookalike audiences. The custom audiences are the last 10 smart link pages that I've been running, a link in bio page and a sample pack and an about me page on my website, as well as that actual view content Spotify button. I have the custom audiences there. That way, anyone who's interacted with any of those websites, they will see this new release again, and they'll be more likely to engage in this new song because they clearly liked one of the previous ones. And in addition to that, at the bottom here, you can see there was anybody who watched 95% of all of the videos I've ever created. And then lastly, in the lookalike audience, I have lookalikes of the 95% all videos, and as well as the view content and all those websites as well. This is how I run my campaigns pretty much. I run everything except for the audience network, and that's what this looks like. On the other end, you can see that this Greenlight one was a little higher and was what was driving the cost up. It cost me 54 cents per view content in these Greenlight areas, as opposed to the yellow light where it was 29 cents and most of the budget went to. So this is why I set that minimum on the green light, because I don't want all of the money to just go to the yellow light. The yellow light is set up exactly the same, but the areas that it's hitting are Colombia, Mexico, and Russia. I find I always get a lot of results from these areas, and I guess just spitballing, but I feel like not a lot of people run budget to these areas, and they're just like lower costs in Facebook's eyes, but they seem to be areas that absolutely love music and definitely engage in quite a lot in with any of these ads. So we'll take a look at the actual ads themselves. So for this, I started off with 4 different ads inside of the ad set. Basically, it's the exact same visual, but it's different points in the song. After running it for the first week or so, I removed the lowest performing one per ad set. I think it was different for each. So for no, looks like it was the same for each. The 01 seemed to be ineffective, so I turned it off. And to take a look into one of these ads. So this is what the ad looks like over here, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and, we'll click this. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just a place in the song. It's the artwork spinning. It says listen on Spotify, whatever. And then if you see it on the stories, it's the same thing, but it has the swipe up thing, rise at the bottom. And this way I can just create this swipe up version, this taller one, and then I can crop it inside of Facebook, and it's just easier. That's how I prefer to do it. And then other than that, there's absolutely nothing on the text or the headline, anything like that. I have the call to action to just listen now, and it's going to this specific Orleans link page, which I will open up to show you right now. And this link page is actually something that I built myself using WordPress and a premium plugin. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how to create this, there will be a link in the description for the Smart Link course that I've created. It's completely free, and it walks through the strategy of pretty much everything I'm talking about here and how that relates to using smart link pages like this. And so it's built in a way so that you can use the method that I have, and I break down how to build your own smart link pages using WordPress and a premium plugin. The nice thing about it is that it's unlimited, and you can actually make it look completely custom because it's a drag and drop editor, and you can actually make it look like any of the other smart link pages out there. However, on top of that, this smart link course, the first half of it really is just completely dedicated to the strategy. So if you already have a smart link solution in place, whether it be Hypedit or ToneDen or anything like that, the strategy that I use is broken down first, so you can apply it directly to using your own smart link page. It doesn't matter which one you use at the end of the day. Ultimately, you just want to be able to put a Facebook pixel, and you want to be able to make unlimited pages because you want to be releasing music consistently. Moving along. This is what my smart link page looks like. Clearly, it's nothing special whatsoever. In fact, I think it honestly kind of looks crap, but it's what is working very well for me. Essentially, all it is the artwork, so that the artwork, as you can see, the whole look kind of matches a lot from the ad. So as a user is clicking from the ad to the page and then the Spotify profile, there's a lot of consistency in terms of the song name and the artist name and the artwork, as well as the little bear that seems to appear, just letting the people know that they're in the right place as they're clicking through. And then there's just the listen on Spotify button that's quite large, and it goes directly to the profile. And why this works is there's the following button up at the top, and usually, not obviously, but when a new release comes up, it's at the top here. So it's very easy to find whether you put the new release at the artist pick or it's just in the popular releases, or if you don't have too many streams, it'll just be higher up in the popular section. So it's easy to find the song, and especially if the artwork's been consistent throughout the whole way through, it's quite easy for the listener to not drop off during any of this, and it's very effective, I find, because there's also the following button. It's a little bit of a ramble there, but that's a breakdown of the Facebook ads in particular. Nothing else really to show there, so we'll move back along. Next is a quick social media review. So as you can see, this is just a screenshot of one of the social media posts that I did. I usually will do about 3 or 4 of these, and I'll usually drop them on the Thursday because it's right before the release radar drop on Friday. Just a way to kind of try to tickle the algorithm a little bit before the next push. We'll take a quick look at what this kind of looks like. So this is, again, it's using the same assets as the actual ad. So I find it very useful. To kind of it's just easier to run through the whole asset creation process when everything is very similar. So we'll click over into my actual profiles, give you an idea of what it looks like. So moving along to where things started, you can see here is where I was running the campaign before it with this pink circle. Then I did a little bit of a tease a few days before, and then you can see that the promotion is always broken up by a bunch of other content. So for me, it might be like kind of like a little photo dump, or me talking to the camera, doing some kind of teaching like this, or me doing what I call a hybrid set, which is performing with like a music box as well as a DJ controller, mixing the two. DJing kind of thing, and you can see every once in a while it pops up. So it's not hitting over the head with promotion, and it's effective for me. Social media is not too crazy of a way I find to drive traffic to a new release, but it is a good way to kind of stay consistent, and anyone who's following you can know that there's a new release. And also, as you get added to any cool playlist, you can do little things like this and like kind of let people know that you got added to the playlist and let them celebrate in your releases. I think it's a really cool way to go about it. And I think that actually wraps this up. So hopefully you found this video useful. I think it was a pretty good little overview of the music marketing campaign that I released. If you want to check out that Smart Link course, there will be a link in the description below. And in addition to that, there's also a release checklist that I use, and it's an interactive checklist. So there's just 7 steps. There's not like 46 steps that I follow for each release. It's very simple. I like to keep my releases really simple and stress-free. So I put those steps in a checklist. There's a link to download it in the description below. It's also interactive. So for each step, you can actually toggle it and like kind of move things around to learn more about each step. So, and how you can learn how to take that step into actual action. In addition to that, there's a bunch of extra resources in there, and you'll also find that Smart Link course inside of that checklist as well. So if you want to download just one thing, check out the release checklist below, and you'll get access to all that stuff. So other than that, hopefully this video was useful and you can apply it to your own releases. Hopefully the release checklist and the Smart Link course is useful as well. Other than that, if you found this video useful, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But really what you're going to want to do is check out those free goodies in the description below. So good luck on your next release, and I will see you in the next video, my friend. Have a good one.